Suspended Texas Attorney General Ken-Paxton appeared briefly today for his impeachment trial in the state Senate, attempting to dismiss every article of impeachment against him. The effort failed, and Paxton left the state Senate chamber before opening statements even began. Then, House impeachment managers delivered statements that suggested Paxton used the power of his office to protect a friend. Paxton's attorneys called the impeachment case against him a whole lot of nothing. Fox 4's Stephen Dow was in the Senate gallery all day, and he joins us from Austin tonight with more. Stephen.
A new chapter in Texas history was written today. Senators who are now jurors heard strong opening statements after a majority of Republicans struck down Paxton's legal team's attempts to dismiss all articles of impeachment. Good morning. For the first time in more than 100 years, state senators became jurors as they were sworn in for the impeachment trial against a state official, Attorney General Ken Paxton.
This is why we are here. The allegations in the articles reveal that the state's top lawyer engaged in conduct designed to advance the economic interests and legal positions of a friend and donor to the detriment of innocent Texans.
Senators heard opening statements from State Representative Andrew Murr, the lead House impeachment manager prosecuting the case. Murr methodically delivered a rundown of the claims of bribery, abuse of power, and an alleged affair.
It's unfair and it's wrong. But despite the forces that seek to intimidate the Senate, you have taken the first steps toward the truth by giving the people who did the right thing a chance to testify.
During opening statements from Paxton's defense team, Tony Busby said the gag order prevented them from defending their client in the court of public opinion.
Texans chose at the voting booth who they wanted to be their attorney general, despite the same baseless allegations that are being made here. But because of what this House has done, only 30 people out of almost 30 million will decide whether Ken Paxton is allowed to serve in the office he was voted into.
Busby claims the impeachment investigation was a planned attempt to take down Paxton by Republicans and Democrats who don't like him. Co-defense attorney Dan Cogdell echoed Busby, at times with a fiery defense of Paxton.
Not one person, not one piece of evidence will you hear where they say lie, where Ken Paxton told him to lie, cheat, steal, shade, do whatever it takes. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. And yet here we sit with 31 of you, with 15 of us and 15 or more of them. Here we sit. When the allegation is it's corrupt, when the truth is, he said, go find the truth, for God's sakes.
Prior to opening statements, the Senate spent hours on pretrial motions. Every motion by the Paxton team to dismiss some or all articles of impeachment was struck down by a majority of Republicans and all Democrats. A small group of about 6 to 8 Republicans sided with Paxton. Collin County Senator Angela Paxton cannot vote.
Attorney General Paxton, please rise.
All 20 articles of impeachment were read to Paxton. Defense counsel Busby entering a not guilty plea on Paxton's behalf for each charge.
Those allegations are flat out false. The Attorney General pleads not guilty.
Before day one concluded, Jeff Mateer, Ken Paxton's former first attorney general, his right-hand man who reported him to federal officials, was called as the first prosecution witness. Mateer says he became more and more concerned about Paxton's alleged interference with a case involving Nate Paul, a Paxton political donor.
It was very troubling to me that the Attorney General would be willing to appear in Travis County District Court.
Now, again, this is just the start. It was a slow start, but things sped up. That witness is expected to still be on the stand tomorrow. As you may notice, Ken Paxton did not himself enter the not guilty plea. His attorney did it for him, which was well within his right. He didn't have to.
Yes, Stephen, it was a little, I don't know if it was strange, not to be honest, but it seems like we're not going to hear from Paxton at all based on the comments and the decisions earlier today. And then he did leave early, quite early, never came back. Does that mean anything? What's that all about? Will he be there going forward? Does he need to be there at all?
Right. Well, one thing, it's important to note that Dan Patrick ruled that Ken Paxton is not compelled to testify, which is normal. No defendant is made to testify. Now, he did leave after the lunch break and did not return, and we might not see him tomorrow. The only legal, he had to be in there was to hear the articles read. He pled not guilty. His job is technically done, especially if he does not testify. So right now, he might not return until the conclusion or when he wants to, and it's totally, according to the rules, allowed by the Senate.
Very good. Okay, Stephen Dow, live tonight in Austin. Thank you. So the trial continues tomorrow. You can watch a live stream of the trial on fox4news.com and on Fox Local. That's our new streaming app. You can use it and get it on Apple TV, Roku, Android, and Amazon Fire. It is free to download, and there's no login required.